The result of the administration's go-it-alone strategy has left our standing in the world at perhaps its lowest point since World War II.
More and more people seem to be adopting as their favorite a motto attributed to Caligula: let them hate us so long as they fear us.
Over the past 6 years, the United States has undermined or ignored global standards on the use of force, the treatment of prisoners, the care of the environment, money laundering, biological weapons, and missile defense, while also trying to sabotage the International Criminal Court.
Well, now things have changed.
The challenge before us then is to chart a new, more effective course.
But we cannot compel other nations to follow. To lead, we must inspire. And to do that, we need to replenish the moral authority that has been lost over the last 6 years.
The average teenager in the world today is far more likely to know about what is happening at Guantanamo today than what happened 18 years ago in Tiananmen Square.
And the U.S. Defense Department, in its annual report to Congress, took particular note of the fact that the Chinese are acquiring better missiles, better submarines, and aircraft. It must be perplexing to people abroad when they read such statements, because some probably have noticed that the United States occasionally also acquires better aircraft, new submarines, etc.
Today we look at North Korea and conclude that we need China's help, and we look at Iran and know that China must acquiesce if sanctions are to be viable, and we look at Darfur and say that only Beijing can make Sudan toe the line.
But if more broadly, we create the perception that we are treating China like an emerging enemy, we will create a self-fulfilling prophecy.
We think of ourselves as the organizing principle in world affairs, and yet this past year, China has convened a summit of African leaders, a summit of Asian leaders, a consortium of Central Asian powers, all without our participation.
Iraq is the confluence of all the turmoil of the Middle East.
On Iraq, we have to signal credibly that we're not going to be staying there for 50 years. We're not going to be staying there for 5 years. We're not going to be staying there for 50 months or whatever. We have to signal that we're prepared to leave.
We'll be there for 100 years under President Bush's formulation that will stand down when they stand up. I now see it in just the reverse. They will not stand up until we begin standing down.
We have to talk to all of Iraq's neighbors about the consequences of our leaving and what they're prepared to do about that. That includes Iran.
Iran's dogged pursuit of nuclear weapons capability has the potential to radicalize the Middle East.
Perhaps it would be a very clever political move to make it known that if the Iranians were to abandon completely any possibility of the acquisition of nuclear weapons, Israel would be prepared to consider a nuclear-free Middle East.
If Arab democracy develops, it will be to advance Arab aspirations based on Arab perceptions of history and justice.
And the third issue that we have to address is the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, because it is poisoning the political atmosphere in the Middle East.
I'll never forget the end of the Clinton administration, when we went to Camp David for one last try at forging Middle East peace. We didn't know whether or not we would succeed, but we decided that we would give it everything we had.
But it's also essential that the next president be conscious of what has not changed, and that is America's commitment to democracy.
Promotion of democracy, after all, begins at home. Thank you very much.